What's up guys, Duke Sloth here, and this is a slightly delayed patch notes review. I'm sorry I have been absent for quite a while, so we're just doing this now, explanations later. First let's get into the skins. We got a new Amaterasu skin, another sci-fi skin, but quite nice in my opinion. We've got the K9 Anubis, which is pretty cool. We've got the Athena, it's actually a double pack, we've got that one, and we also have this one. I actually like both, and it's funny because Hyres asked on Twitter which one the audience likes better, the community likes better. Turns out apparently we liked both, or they liked both so much that they decided to bring both of those skins into the game. I like it. I like it. And we've got the Chiron Mastery skins, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with the updated NR God card. I'm not sure, don't have the other one in mind, if it's like, I think it's actually different. I'm not sure if the skin is updated in a way as well. Unfortunately, I haven't watched the patch notes, I just have the written version in front of me. So, some of the information may be a little confusing, this would be one of them. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Obviously, the voice packs to accompany those skins, and Peace for better, and achievements, and no one cares about that, except for Kyle. Miscellaneous, just a flag, glitch, and lock up. I'm not sure about that joust animation tigers, if they were still killable. I assume they were. Item changes. Bluestone no longer showing up as MP5 in the store, makes sense, good, about time. Bulwark, just getting a little icon fix. Still a very strong item, one of the holy trinity at the moment. Sovereignty. Sovereignty gets a buff with an increased aura. 30 protections now. Obviously ends up being on the total protection as well. I think this might make Sovereignty better again. Simply because the penetration options have changed. And this basically means that if you have Sovereignty, anyone on your team can get hit by all 3 hits of Stonecutting Sword, if I'm not wrong about the numbers. And they will still have their basic protections they had before. That's pretty huge. This nerf mostly hits assassins that want to gank lanes. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but I think Sovereignty might be back-ish. It's not going to replace Height of the Urchin, that's for sure, but I think it has a place again now, though it may not be the highest. Throwing Dagger and Golden Bow in company with that. New passive. All basic attacks will also hit enemies within a 15 unit radius of the target for 25% damage to guards and 50% damage to minions. This translates to 50% damage to guards and 75% damage to minions in jungle camps for Golden Bow. This is interesting. Remember this, because this might work very well for some gods. First of all, Artemis. Artemis still has the problem of no mobility, but another problem of hers is the early clear being relatively weak. Golden Bow makes up for that, especially with her built-in crit. This is really good. Naja might get ridiculous clear out of this. Question is it worth building Throwing Dagger? But it's a ridiculous amount of clear. He can just insta-clear everything, especially with his AoE, 4th hit plus that stuff, and the ring toss. Sir Cat can use this. Many of you are going to be like, oh my god, it doesn't trigger on her 1, so why would you ever use it on her? But Sir Cat has high mobility as it stands. We're getting to the other buff later. And with this, she can basically insta-clear jungle camps. She uses her 1 and then 2 to 3 autos probably, and most things are cleared. And we have more double camps, so to speak, like the mid camps. We have the boars now. So it's actually worth to have some AoE clear. This is good. This is pretty good. And Wind Demon gets a fix. Wind Demon preventing all healing is no longer happening. That's good. God changes. Change to AMC. Slow on the honey is now 20% at all ranks instead of scaling up. AMC is still in the same place because he has no mobility. Same as Artemis, basically, who gets a little buff on the Vengeful Assault, going up to from 40 to 80% instead of from 35 to 75% extra attack speed. That should be, yes. Is it gonna change much about the character? No. It's 5%. And late game Artemis is scary as hell, regardless. Bastet. The Claw fixed rank 1 of this ability, dealing magical damage. Good. That's weird in the first place. I don't know how that glitch came to pass. Chuck. Torrent fixed an issue where the Torrent's teleportation could be cancelled early. Not sure how that happened, but good that it doesn't happen. I mean, you have to be pretty quick to cancel it early anyways. Chiron. Chiron finally gets a nerf. He's still annoying as hell in my opinion, because he's very easy to play and it's very easy to pull off annoying kinds of kills at long range. Now he suffers a 40% slow while firing Centaurus. So that's something, I guess. It's gonna change much about the character? No. You usually don't run around in his ultimate all too much. What you do is you blast it on someone and you know, the range is so long that if they're not at the edge of the range already, it's not going to make a huge difference. Isis, one of the goals of Season 3, blah, blah, whatever. But this is actually interesting because it says that Hi-Rez wants to define guards as early, mid, or late game guards. So the scaling on Wing Gust is reduced. 10% less per hit. Significant, I would say. 40% less overall. So that's a decent amount. Isis is still not going to be weak late game or anything, but you have to be a little less wary of her Wing Gust, I would say. Khepri, I know, there are going to be people complaining about this because Khepri gets another nerf. Oh my god, no. Khepri is still one of the best gods in the game. Hang on. I'll show you. We're not doing this without proof anymore, because I've read that too often now, like the poor Khepri. Khepri currently sits NAEU, rank conquest, win rate 22 out of 74, normal conquest 9 out of 74. He is one of the best performing gods, and one of the reasons why it may not be that high in ranked is because he's often banned. Khepri is still very strong. What does this nerf mean? This nerf means that he has less starting health than many warriors, assassins, mages even. And that's gonna have an impact on his early. Like, at the moment, Khepris can still play pretty aggressive early with a dung ball they roll at you and then just pull you. And now they have to be very careful with that. They have to be very careful about the pull, especially. If you want to pull someone, you have to have enough health to go in on them. And now you have 50 health less to do so. So, Khepri less aggressive early, still as strong as ever late game. This is gonna have an impact on it. Like, remember how Wukong got this health nerf and it has a major impact on him. But I think this might be the right decision here. Not nerfing his kit any further, but instead his base stats. But please, for the love of God, don't go complaining about how Khepri can't get another nerf and now is the weakest god in the game, because the win rates clearly show that he's not. Poseidon cannot pull Fire Element without the Fire Giant Pit anymore. And now comes the big what the fuck. Serket was placed in a rough spot after the Season 3 changes. She was nerfed not only from direct changes to her mobility, but her build path of crit and CDR was made less effective and more expensive. Like pretty much every other jungler that needs CDR? Maybe? Crit not so much, but CDR? Just saying. And there's a new crit item that's pretty good, you know? Just saying. Combined, the changes were too much. This patch will bring some of the mobility back through Deathbane and shift some of her power away from needing crit to be effective. What? A character that's designed around critting on her 1 should be shifted away from crit. Okay. With increased scaling from Cobra's Kiss, her build path should now be slightly more open. Addressing the first point here, and I'm gonna pull up the stats again. In a rough spot. This is NA, OCE, EU only. I'm sorry, Brazil. I'm sorry, Latin. I'm not counting it in here because this is the easiest way to just look up on it. Xbox and PlayStation characters are very different on those platforms, so this doesn't really show much. So I'm sticking to the standard regions. Her win rate in ranked conquest is 42%, meaning she has the win rate of 48 out of 74. That is slightly below the middle. That's like B tier, B plus, A minus. How is that a rough spot? We go into normal conquest. We see that the win rate is lower. It's 58. But there's still, hang on, my math sucks. There's still 16 gods that are in, well, 15 gods actually. Wait, yeah, 15 gods. Because, whatever. That are in rougher spots than she is. So, should they all get massive buffs now? Because she did? Because she's in such a rough spot? So Cat was top tier ever since she was first discovered. She was considered trash until some people figured out how to play her, how to build her with crit on her one, wreck people, use the passive effectively. She has 100% anti in her kit. She has 2 hard CCs, of which one CCs her as well, to be fair, but it's still 2 hard CCs. She has 2 escapes. For the longest time, she had the highest mobility in the game, and she was constantly in the top tiers. There are some other gods that do that, and those gods should not be up there for that long as well. So why does she need a buff? Deathbane, cooldown reduced from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. That means on max cooldown, which she's probably going for at some point down the line, she's gonna have 6 seconds cooldown on an ability that deals massive damage, can crit, and doubles as an escape. As an escape that cannot be pulled. An escape that only can be stopped by walls, which she has another escape for to get out. At least make her 2 escapes of the same kind then, so she can't get out of friggin' everything. This makes me so salty. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. As far as I know, she was even banned in the pro games this week. I don't have like proof on that right now, but I read it on Reddit basically. Somebody might have lied, but as far as I know, she was banned in multiple of these games. Like what the I don't get it. Why? And then Cobra's Kiss, like so many buffs on that. I don't even know what to say. We get extra base damage from like 130 max to 150 max. We get scaling increased by 10%. The madness damage increased from max of 90 to a max of 150. Madness scaling increased to 50%. And updating the tooltip because people couldn't like understand shit apparently. Great, yeah, I don't care about that aspect, but I can't get over this, and this makes me salty as friggin' hell because there are so many other characters that have been bottom tiers for I don't know how freaking long, and they don't get touched, but she does. Why does she get this? Why? I have no words for this. I have no words. This patch is so good otherwise. This patch is really good. Don't get me wrong. There's so many good things in this. As always, I think there should be, like, there are more things that should be addressed. There should be more drastic nerfs in various directions, checking how things work out. But now, we have a Sir Cat that just hammers everyone down with Deathbane, has ridiculous damage with Cobra's Kiss as soon as she starts leveling it, which is not too late into the game. Which will still do the same shit she did before, and you know, junglers get money easy, so crit is easier to get anyways, because the gold has been increased in the jungle. The XP has been nerfed. And she does not worry about that, because she has insane speed. Like I said, she could even use Oboe if she wants to. Sorry, not Oboe. Golden Bow. Or Throwing Dagger to clear even faster, so she can get around the map even faster, and maybe get the movement speed from that, and like, I don't know. Moving on. Scotty. Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me, that Calder and her are slightly annoying. The dash cooldown is increased from 2 seconds to 5 seconds on Calder. Very, very good. The dashes were too much. They were way too much. You could basically sprint out, and if she used sprint, the wolf would follow you again and dash on you again before you even knew what happened. So good, good, good. And Winter's Grasp duration decreased, reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds, also good. The problem with Scotty is color. Scotty herself is a very unique character, and in the way that she doesn't have an escape, not a proper escape. She does not have CC immunity in her kit, and I like to see more of that. I like to see like mobility being removed from characters and CC immunity being removed from characters. But overall, she's not that strong. What is strong is Calder. And Calder is ridiculously strong because he scales so much of her abilities, of her stats. And well, the moment she uses Winter's Grasp, you're a squishy and you don't have escapes. Well, good luck to you. You can blow your CC all you want, but it's not gonna matter much. And you're not gonna be able to fight her afterwards. So the lowering the cooldown, the duration of this a little bit is a step in the right direction. We'll see how she pans out. We can wonder about other things here, other gods not being touched, but we're getting to that. Base health of Sun Wukong being increased a little bit again, because he was slightly weak early. I'm not sure if this 20 base health are actually going to bring him back, because, you know, Bluestone was the thing. Now there are other solo laners like Vamana who do the stuff he does, but better. Well, Vulcan gets a buff after all this time. Point blank damage of Earthshaker gets 60% damage instead of 50. So he can drop that down in your face. And the travel time at max range is reduced. This is probably gonna mean that Vulcan players need to readjust a little bit, because, you know, the speed is higher. But yeah. Zeus. Aegis Assault no longer knocks minions back. Really nice for clearing a wave in one go. Did Zeus need a buff? I don't know. Normally, the patch notes would be finished here. In this case, let's talk about what has not been addressed. Ragin. Going wild. Still the stupid damage on his 2. Why? Why does he get this crazy combo that, like, the deal with Ragin is that he doesn't get nerfs because his win rate is low, but his win rate is only low when you look at the first games played. The moment somebody plays him a lot, the win rate goes up a lot, more than with most other characters that have higher skill caps, like, say, Ullr or Willish or whatever you want to consider high skill cap. But, you know, if you start with him, it's kind of hard, but like, that's because he has a high skill ceiling, because his abilities are relatively clunky. They don't really feel synergistic in the first, few games that you play with him. But he's ridiculously strong. He's got burst through the roof and an escape on top of that. And if you come across a good Ragin player, you're pretty much dead meat. He's got a weak early phase, but that's only so weak, really. So why has that not been touched? I don't know. And I'm growing tired of saying this, but jungle is still in a really shitty spot. And it's in such a shitty spot that I keep forgetting it, like, to mention it, because I stopped playing jungle for the most part. Like, I occasionally play it, but if I can get solo, I go solo instead, because solo gets fed as hell. It's still with, like, 1 boar removed. Don't care. You have all the farm, you have all that easy play, and then you walk out of solo lane like a raid boss. That's not changed at all. Meanwhile, jungle has nothing. Still less XP, even less with the boar removed now. No speed buff, nothing. Like, the only thing you can do at the moment is build a speed item early. Build Masamune or something, which is actually a good item now, with the 50 power off the bat. But why? How can a role that was not overperforming previously be so ignored for so long? I don't get it. And that's what bothers me about this patch, that nothing has happened for I don't know how many patches. And they considered to give something to junglers already. And we see it over and over. You look at an adapting game, one of the best junglers in the Smite community. This guy goes, whatever, 7, I think it was 7-2. And he's on the same level as the mid laner, who's not gone 7-2. And below the level of the solo laner, 2 levels below the solo laner. And I think a level below the Hunter as well. All the same level, whatever. Like, performing better than the rest of his team and still being lower in levels or the same level. And that's jungle life right now. You're like a second support, and I don't like it at all, and I don't understand why it's a thing for so long, and it ruins the purpose that a jungler has because it's now a support for the mid laner. And if you look at other MOBAs, junglers do very different things, especially in League of Legends comes to mind here, where junglers just farm up in the jungle on their own, not sharing many camps, which is okay to me. All this camp sharing mechanic is, yeah, it's a good idea for team synergy, but at the same time, it's really annoying because you really depend on your team to come in at the right time, and sometimes it would just be cool to just kill your jungle camps and be done with it and get your points and move on, and not wait and ping the mid laner and rotate for a wave in between and blah. And then they gank. They gank and they are a threat because you don't know when they show up and where they show up. Given that the mid laners are always on, the junglers are always on middle lane now to leech XP, you basically know when they rotate out. If you like have half decent warding, you're gonna know if they go left or right. Done. It's not surprising the gank anymore. It's just stupidity if you get ganked, basically. So yeah, short rant towards the end. Probably gonna make another video about that eventually. For now, thank you guys for watching. Sorry that I have been absent for so long. I know I promised a lot of videos. I did not manage to make any yet because life and things came up and I was extremely busy. But we'll get to that this week. I promise. I have plans. I am working on videos already. Whatever happened to Redatosker is coming and more. So, stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and Duke Sloth out.